Good day and welcome back to another DB Legends video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at the Bardock Legends Limited Yellow Bardock Zenkai and just how good his Zenkai is and how much it's changed for him. Now it's super important for us to obviously understand everything that's changed with him, so to do that we'll assess everything on a step-by-step basis. So in terms of his ultimate ability, not too much has changed here. In fact, there's nothing significant that has changed here. So pretty straightforward. In terms of his special move, tiny incremental change to this in the form of that basically he gets 35%. Well, actually no, there's been no changes here. Yeah. So no changes here either. In terms of his main ability, so this has been adjusted slightly. We now get 50 ki, which is also quite important, and we get obviously, yeah, well that's actually it in terms of changes. Pretty straightforward. In terms of his special skill, there have been some very minor changes here. We have plus 15% of the next blast arts damage inflicted, which is pretty good, and yeah, restoration of energy engage remains the same, so pretty good stuff. In terms of his Zenkai boost, he boosts yellow and sands, which is pretty good, and we'll take a look at who that covers. But I think overall it's not too bad as Zenkai ability. I think it's relatively decent. Now in terms of passives, there hasn't been much of a change to his baseline passives. Most of them have remained pretty much on par. He has gained a restoration of 25% when it reaches 0 effect, which I think is pretty good and is quite necessary, at least for himself. In terms of his life sought after power, nothing too crazy here either. Nothing really changed in terms of this, so it was pretty stock standard. So overall he's kind of one of those Zenkais where he wasn't a bad unit, especially with his plat, so they couldn't really go too crazy with him. In terms of his first new passive, Rage Against the Self, he now has the ability to draw a Blast Arts card and restore zone ki by 50. And depending on how many battle members are defeated, he'll gain some bonuses, which I think overall is not too bad. And he has Furious Charge, which upon landing a Blast Arts hit gives him increased damage inflicted, reduces his special move cost, and basically applies the following effect if there's a defeated battle member, which allows him to reset the activation count pretty good. So overall, I'd say he looks pretty solid. To get the Zenkai power, the easiest way is going to be completing these Zenkai missions, as well as completing the Zenkai Rush Gauntlet. The Zenkai Rush Gauntlet will give you 3000 Z Awakening power, whereas the missions will give you 4000, which is all pretty stock standard. Now in terms of basically, the missions, they're pretty simple. You can find them under the event tab, so you shouldn't really have any crazy issues there. And if you want to, you can summon for the Zenkai Awakening power, although it will cost you a fair chunk of Chrono Crystals, so be prepared for that. In terms of everything else, that's basically it. The Zenkai Rush battle we take a look at in a separate video, but it's pretty straightforward if you've done one before. Now in terms of the units that are boosted by Bardock, essentially we have, I would say, a pretty solid roster of units that benefit from his Zenkai. So yellow and sand are obviously the big kind of beneficiaries of his Zenkai, which makes sense to a certain extent. But I think overall for me, the big kind of beneficiaries are always going to be the ultra yellow Goku, the Legends Limited Vegeta, the Legends Limited Vegeta and Trunks, and the Legends Limited Gogeta. Those are probably your highlight units. Bye.